36 and expectant father of a baby girl in about a month. My wife Riley, 35, and I have been together since our junior year of college. Our life together is amazing, but a little over 3 years ago, my wife had a stillbirth. It was hard for me, but I think the pain of losing our son was 100x worse for her since she was the one who carried him for so many months. Luckily, things are going well with this pregnancy so far, and we're thrilled but obviously a bit nervous that something could go wrong again. Riley has nightmares and told me she's having trouble getting excited about this baby because she's terrified things will go wrong. Some context is that I'm the oldest of 3 and have a younger sister named Ella, 33F, and a younger brother named Josh, 30M. Josh has always been a good kid and was the golden child growing up. I honestly don't know what happened, but he did a totally 180 and started partying to the point where he flunked out of law school. Josh tried acting after that, and when that didn't work out, he got a job teaching at a private high school. But Josh didn't get his contract renewed for this year's school term, and he and his wife Julia are now living with my parents rent-free. According to my mom, Josh drinks all day and hasn't made any real efforts to find another job. He's also incredibly rude and bitter towards everyone, and routinely blames my parents for why his life isn't going well. Everyone in my family adores Riley, except for Josh. My wife is an attorney and went to a great law school, and I think Josh is jealous of that. He makes a lot of passive-aggressive comments about her family's wealth, i.e. his nickname for her is Princess, and loves to talk about how her job is just defending sociopaths for no money. She's a federal public defender. For a while, I called out on his comments as cruel and ridiculous on the spot, but Riley asked me to stop because she didn't think it was worth the aggravation. She always likes to turn the other cheek, and make the other person look horrible by not reacting at all. Riley has 3 brothers and is used to rolling with the punches, so the comments don't bother her all that much. But they drive me crazy, and I've had multiple conversations with my brother about how he treats my wife. He always says he's just joking and that he likes Riley. My mom has also asked him to stop being so rude to Riley, and he always says he will, but it hasn't gotten any better. Yesterday was my dad's birthday, and my parents invited our entire family over for dinner. Josh seemed drunk when we arrived, and he had several glasses of champagne during dinner. Julia kept asking him to stop drinking, but he brushed her off. By the end of dinner, he was slurring his words and almost passed out, he was so drunk. At one point, my mom asked Riley how her pregnancy was going. Riley said things were going well, and my mom got teary and said she's thinking of her and knows things will go well this time. Josh then blurted out, "It can't go worse than it did the last time she was pregnant." He started laughing hysterically, and I can't describe the shock and horror on my wife's face when he said this. I told Josh his comment was not okay, but instead of shutting up, he continued to laugh and said the only way it could go any worse is if she died too. He then asked me if I'd rather have Riley or the baby die, if it was up to me. Everyone was yelling at him, and I lost my shit. I pushed him off his chair and punched him in the face. My brother-in-law, Ella's husband, and my dad had to pull me off him. Riley and Julia were both crying, and I told my parents we were leaving because I couldn't be in the same room as Josh. I got a call from my mom on the way home, and she told me that she kicked Josh out because she was so disturbed by what he said to Riley. Last I heard they're staying with Julia's sister, but I don't give a shit to be honest. Riley, who usually isn't bothered by Josh, has been crying all day. She says that it was the cruelest thing anyone has ever said to her, and that Josh must hate her if he could so easily joke about her and our child dying. It's honestly the most upset I've seen her during the pregnancy, and that's saying a lot because of how emotionally difficult it's been on both of us. This morning, I got an angry call from Riley's older brother Ryan, who is incredibly protective over her. Riley called and told him what happened after we got home, and he helped me comfort her. Ryan asked how I could subject my pregnant wife to my idiot brother and told me he never wants to see Josh again. I told Ryan I was sorry, and that I didn't think he'd go so low, but Ryan hung up and won't return any of my calls. Riley has told him it's not my fault, and that she's the one who always asks me to ignore Josh, but Ryan is still understandably upset with me. I also feel like I failed Riley by not putting a stop to this sooner, even though I never would imagine he'd joke about her stillbirth or something happening to her during childbirth. I also got a call from my mom telling me that Josh didn't even remember what he said this morning and felt horrible when Julia told him. He's agreed to go to rehab and says he's had a drinking problem and serious depression for a while now. He also was sexually abused as a child by a friend's dad, and I don't want to diminish the seriousness of that, but he and my mom both point to that a lot to excuse his behavior. I told my mom I don't care, because I don't ever intend on being in the same room as Josh again. My mom said that she doesn't expect us to forgive him yet since she herself hasn't, but she hopes I'll leave the door open for us to have a relationship since the Josh we saw last night wasn't the real Josh. She talked about how he's a good person, but has been through a lot in life, and so we have to support him. She also said I didn't help matters by punching him, since it just upset Riley more and it's never okay to resort to violence. Basically, she thinks Josh owes Riley an apology, but I owe Josh an apology for hitting him and my dad an apology for ruining his birthday. I haven't spoken to my wife about any of this since I don't want to put any more stress on her, but I don't plan on apologizing or even thinking about letting her near Josh again. I don't like violence, but I don't feel bad for punching my brother at all. I also know he has a drinking problem, and that he probably wouldn't have said those things sober, but it was still unforgivable in my eyes. Ada for escalating things and for not being open to forgiving my brother after he gets help. Any advice would be appreciated.